much for clicking on the video. This is my recap and review for Growing Up Hip Hop Season 6, Episode 21. Mind you, that numbering makes no sense, and that's mainly because if you didn't know, or if you really don't care, but I care because I think it's dumb that they did this, is the show Brad Loves Judy was like from episode 13 to episode 20, that was their show for those 7 or 8 episodes. So they decided to feed that inside of Growing Up Hip Hop LA. So that is why the numbering is 21. Like, you can go and Google it because it didn't make any sense to me. Because I thought Brad Loves Judy was its own thing, but I guess it was just like a mini series inside of Growing Up Hip Hop, the original, which is in LA. Stupid. It's just stupid. But let's get into this episode. So the episode opens up where we see Tyrone with his cute self. Mind you, y'all, I ain't never thought Tyrone was cute until them dreads got longer. I don't know what it is, but I can't do baby dreads. I have never found baby dreads attractive on women or men. So once them things grew, I was like, okay, I see you. I like it. But then we see Tretch, which is Tyrone's father, roll up while he's doing, the karate chopping. And they're just like, Tyrone's just catching the dad up on what's going on in the world of, like, Peppa's world. So he asked about, is TT in Egypt, like, speaking? And Tyrone is like, no, but TT seems to be like in a better place. Like, she's a lot more calm. She's not as stressed out and things of that nature. I get that Tretch wants like the girls to work it out, but at the end of the day, it has to be mutual respect on both sides, and both parties have to come to like the table, like I said, being respectful and understanding and taking accountability for each of their parts. And I feel like slightly neither one of them does that, but Egypt and Simon, got Portia on the brain. Egypt and Sam don't do that. I feel like, yes, I do think TT overstepped in the sense of, she was like, if that's her relationship, that's her relationship. Yes, you want to protect her. Yes, you want to guide her. But at the end of the day, Egypt is her own person. And around the time her and Sam got together, I think she was like 18 or 19. So she was well within her rights to be like, I'm an adult and you should allow me to figure this out on my own. So I do think TT did overstep. The part that I have an issue with Sam in Egypt is that y'all constantly lied upon TT, but when TT was talking to y'all, she was spitting facts about y'all's situation. So I think they have more of an onus to like be more apologetic to her. And I also feel like if your family's toxic and y'all can't work it out, then there's nothing in the rule book that says y'all have to be friends. Y'all can still be family because by blood that's your family, but that does not mean y'all have to have a relationship. So we end up meeting Cicely Chris, who is Tretch's wife. I didn't even know he had a wife. I think the lady's cool. She seems like a sweet lady. She's actually really pretty. She basically tells them that like when the whole altercation, because we end up finding out about Egypt and Sam getting arrested. They even show his mugshot. And supposedly he got arrested down at the strip because he got into a fight. Now, I tried to Google to see like if there was any like blogs that picked up the information. I didn't see nothing, not on the Shade Room, the Neighborhood Talk, on site, or Hollywood Unlocked, or any blog sites. Excuse me. Or even on Twitter. I didn't hear nothing about it. And then when I Googled, there were like several other websites that were like, they were only talking about if Sam and Egypt were still together. They didn't bring up the whole arrest situation. So I don't know if this arrest is fairly new, because it could be fairly new and we're just hearing about it, because I do know we got to see videos of TT and Sean getting married. So maybe this is something very recent and and then also it's like, no one cares about Sam. It'd be totally different if Egypt got arrested, but Sam got arrested. And it's like Sam is not, even though Sam is attached to Egypt, Egypt's not famous enough for us to care that much. So that's probably why we didn't hear nothing about it or anything like that. But basically Tyrone tells his dad and his stepmom that like it didn't make any sense. He was like, it didn't make sense. Like This is what Tyran said. Tyran said that like Sam and Egypt were out with their friends. One of their friends was getting like, I guess, like attacked, or like people were trying to instigate a fight with their friend and they were calling the guy names. So then Sam jumped into the fight, and as he was like, I guess, getting beat up or like fighting these guys with his friend, Egypt ran over there and like cold cocked somebody in the face, and then an arrest happened. Whereas Tretch's wife, Cicely Chris, I'm gonna just call her Miss Cicely, I'm not gonna call her Cicely Chris. Miss Cicely was like, she called me to, Sam and Egypt called me to explain their side, and it seems like they were attacked, but that's not the whole story. So I'm like, at least y'all know it's not the whole story. But Tretch said he gonna get to the bottom of this, because this is a dangerous situation, and I guess they were also hearing that guns might have been involved. So now they trying to figure out what's going on. So next we see Little Twist and his, I guess, a record exec that's like his big brother / also is a rapper, which is Mac Main. And Twist done got himself caught up in some BS. So during the Panini or the Panorama or the Panasonic, Twist went down to Texas. He was riding in the car with a gun. He says that there was nothing like going on, like, you know, he was just riding. And like he was following the rules of the law, and then he got pulled over and got, I guess, charged with like a gun charge or something like that. Because we all know it's the Wild Wild West in Texas. Like, everybody got a gun. Babies got guns in Texas. And he got himself caught up when he should be smarter than that. Like Twist already has 2 strikes against him. One more strike and he's probably gonna go to jail for like more than 10 plus years. So he gotta calm down. He has to make better decisions. And like Mac Main, we end up finding out is kind of like a big brother / father figure to Twist. And we also find out that Twist's dad, when he was 13, was sentenced to life in prison. So his dad been in jail all this time. And I just feel like, make better decisions, bro. I was happy that Mac Main gave him like the game when he was like, riding around with a gun is not gangster, being free is gangster. Also, he was like, you can't make money when you in jail and when you're in the grave. So stop making selfish decisions, which it is selfish for you to be riding around town with a gun and you don't really need the gun. So were you just riding around with a gun to be posted up? Or were you somewhere where you had no business being in the first place? Because I think he said they went to the club, but I'm like, if you going to the club, did you can't take a gun in the club, so did you leave it in the car? And if you leaving it in the car, if something really popped off in the club, you can't do nothing about it. So it was just kind of stupid that he had the weapon with him when he really didn't need to have it with him. And I was happy that Mac Main was like, you have a lot of people that you help with your funds, like your mom, your nephews. Why would you put yourself in this predicament? And Twist was like, yeah, like I don't want to keep hurting people that I love, but I definitely got to make better decisions. And I hope he don't go to jail, because, you know, we all love Twist's goofy self. But you dumb. You got to stop being stupid and making stupid decisions. The next scene we see is Angela, Cree, Vanessa, and Cree's sister on like a boat, or I don't know. I think you would consider that a yacht because it's not big enough to be a yacht. But all the girls look pretty. They all look pretty. Mind you, y'all, I'm so over. Like, I've always wanted Angela, Vanessa to not be on the show. And it's just like, they're like watching paint dry. They're so boring. And we end up finding out that Angela is moving to Atlanta. If you didn't know, because everyone thought Angela was going to be a part of Real Housewives of Atlanta, because there was a picture floating around at one of the cast events and she was in it. So people were like, she going to Atlanta? And we end up finding out, like, no, she's not going to Atlanta. She was just at the party. So she at the party, like, not at the party. She on the boat. She ends up telling them, like I said, she was moving to Atlanta. Vanessa is visibly, like, shook by this. But I'm, like, over Vanessa acting so shocked that her sister does not include her into her big life decisions. At this point, Vanessa is just being stuck on stupid on purpose, or just being in denial about the way her relationship is set up with her sister. Because every season it's like, well, I just want to be closer to Angela, and I wish Angela would confide in me more. She doesn't want to. Y'all are in y'all 30s. Y'all, like, in a few years, y'all are gonna be 40. Stop fighting for a relationship with your sister if she's not willing to give you one. And I get it, because like I'm an older sister, but me and my sister have like a really close relationship. I'm always calling my sister to like run things by her, but that's just the relationship I have with my sister. You don't have that. So if it was me, I would stop trying to build that with her and find other people that I could have that with. Cause she was like whining while they were on the boat. Cause she was like, "Are you sure?" Because Angela's already like, she already talked to her mom and her dad about moving to Atlanta. She wants to move there because her son's father's side is in Atlanta, so she would have more of a support system there. Plus, she wants her son to get to know that side of the family, since unfortunately the man is no longer here because someone decided to be horrible and take his life. She already got a house. She's like closing on it. And she, like I said, she told her parents. And I just feel like Vanessa, if she doesn't include you into things, then she doesn't include you into things. All I'm saying is, like, this conversation is boring. All four of them were boring. They over here talking about braids. That's how you know that scene was boring, because I was like, all we needed to get from this scene is that Angela was moving to Atlanta. There was no need for y'all to talk about, like, Vanessa to be like, oh, she want braids like Cree's cousin. Side note, I don't. Cree get on my nerves. Beautiful lady, but she get on my nerves. Because you can tell that she is so giddy that Angela Simmons is her friend. Like, they did that joint confessional together, and I was like, girl, pipe down. Pipe down. Because it's not a cute look that you look like a groupie. You look like a fan. And you look thirsty. You look like a desperado, girl. Chill out. You too pretty for that. Chill all the way out. Meet Lazy Bones from Bone Thugs and Harmony. And I recognized his face because I think it was the verses. It was Bone Thugs and Harmony versus 3 6 Mafia. I'm pretty sure it was 3, because it was Juicy J up there. Juicy J was up there. So I think that's right. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But he's meeting up with Tretch, and they're at the pool hall, and they're just talking. Basically, like, they're old in the game. They're like OGs in the game, and they're just talking about all the people they lost. Like, Lazy Bones talks about how, like, before when he was 16, he got shot in the head. He saw his best friend die by the time he was 18. Tretch always got a story about, like, going to more funerals than graduation when it comes to his friends. I thought it was interesting when they were like, we were using the music industry to get out the hood, and now the kids want to go back in the hood. And I don't think it's like they want to go back in the hood and live like the hard life. I think it's more so they want the aesthetic. Like a lot of rappers and musicians and like artists that are coming up now have been fortunate enough to be like middle class or like lower middle class. Like most of them are not like destitute and poor or scratching and surviving. And it's also different for these kids who are part of industry families, like music industry families, is because y'all got money. So I don't think they want to go back to the hood. They want the hood aesthetic, because we all know hood aesthetic sells. Like, we just gonna call it spade a spade. If you hood enough, and people like you, they will, like, everyone loves an underdog come up story. So you can sell that better than like, I'm Jenny from next door and I got buku monies and I'm a singer. Versus like, I'm Jenny in the hood and I've been scratching and surviving since I was 12 years old and I can sing. That story sells more than the story about you living a good life. I also thought it was interesting when they were talking about how the deaths of Eazy-E and Tupac really like changed them and put them on a bad road, because Lazy Bones was like, when Eazy-E died, he just spiraled. He went back to Oakland and he just spiraled. And then when Tupac died, who was attached to Tretch said he went left too, because he was just like, you can still get killed when you rich. And I think he was like, that really flipped up his world. And I think it flips up a lot of people's world. we oftentimes, like, you know, what just happened to young Dolph? Like, you never think, like, you going back to, like, your old hood to go get cookies is where that's gonna be the last place you go. You gonna get shot up. Like, I think a lot of people don't understand that, like, just because you have money doesn't mean the world, like, the negativity and, like, the evilness of others will not affect you or can shield you enough from it. A lot of people will say you get it more once you got money and notoriety and fame. So you got to always be on guard. But I thought it was a nice conversation. They bring up Sayora, and if you remember who Sayora was, she was the chick with the red hair or the red braids on episode 12 at the showcase. And she got into it with Tanise about Angela dating her baby daddy and all of that stuff. And they tried to cut the cameras because they felt like she was doing too much. So she had, like, so now they're trying to, like, Bone Thugs is trying to clean it up because at the end of the day, Sayora's family's legacy is not bigger than the Simmons legacy. And Lazy Bones feels like Sayora is a star, so she has to learn how to network to get to where she needs to be. So he wants to help her along. So he's trying to help smooth over everything, which is what she needs because it don't really feel like she's trying to apologize. So then we head over to New York. We get to see Tanise and JoJo and the new baby Joey. I'm really happy for them. Baby Joey would be considered a rainbow baby because unfortunately Tanise had a miscarriage. But he's a cute little baby. Things kind of went left. And I feel like JoJo was just being hypersensitive because I totally understand what Tanise was saying. They're getting the bottles ready. You can just see that there's tension. Like, they're probably undersleep. They probably ain't got a lot of sleep dealing with the baby. They also have I think they're the little girl Mia, who's the oldest. I think she might be 5 or 6. So that in and of itself is a lot to have a newborn and an elementary school child. So it's just like they're not really on the same page and they're not really being nice when they communicate with each other. And they even said that in their green screen confessional that they did together. I just find it, like, I just feel like JoJo was being sensitive because nothing that Tanise said was really, like, trying to say he was a bad father. He just totally went to, like, are you trying to say I don't take care of my kids? And she was like, no. So basically Tanise was like, they were sitting on the couch and they were, like, ordering, like, they I guess got DoorDash or, you know, there's so many things, GoPuff, DoorDash, what's it called, Uber Eats and all that. So someone brought them food because they're not leaving the house, you know, because of the Panasonic, and they got a newborn baby. And Tanise basically said, like, I want to be able to still live my life and not put things on hold for my children. Like, and she was like, and since we're together, you have to help me with that. So she said that when their oldest daughter, not their oldest daughter, but their daughter, who's the oldest, when she was the size of baby Joey, JoJo really helped take care of the baby the first year because Tanise had a regular 9-to-5. Now that she doesn't have a 9-to-5 and I guess she's trying to break into like entrepreneurship or things like that, she was like, I need more help from you, because she said after that 1 year, all of a sudden I was the main one really taking care of her because you started, like, you know, his record label and all of that stuff. So you weren't really here to help me out. JoJo feels like, no, I was. And she's like, not in the way that you think. So then he gets in his feelings and his fifis and starts to like tell the cameras, like, he said, put the cameras down, respect my privacy. Let me have a real conversation with my wife. And my thing is like, JoJo, you're being extra for no reason. And I was like, even though they put the cameras down, they just weren't as close. They still was filming. Like, you signed the contract, so let me see your life. So basically he said, Tanise basically was like, when I need help, I need you to help me. I don't want to have to put things, I don't want to put my career goals and my dreams on hold for a baby, just like you don't want to do it either. So you're going to have to help me. And he was like, well, you need to tell me this. And then he kind of got a snarky attitude. But the thing was about it was like, he showed how much he didn't really like understand, because she's holding the baby while they're having this conversation. And she was like, how am I going to feed myself? And all he had to do was probably unwrap her sandwich and like feed her. I've seen plenty of my cousins, like significant others Or like I've seen other people's like husbands like will feed the wife as she's feeding the baby, because the men know if she ain't got no milk, we in trouble. And I'm just kind of like, he just said, you saw him like eat the hamburger, drink his juice all the while she's trying to have this serious conversation. And I was like, this is what she's talking about. Like, you're kind of like disregarding that she really needs help, and all you really had to do was just probably cut the sandwich in half so she could hold the baby and feed herself, or you could just feed her. Like, compromise, dummy. That's all she's asking for. And I don't think the way she did it was wrong, because she really did ask, like, she really was like, when I ask you for help, help me, bruh, help me. So he was like, okay, I'll do more, but you got to tell me I need help. So she said she's going to do that. They just basically need to find a balance. They need to work on their communication, and they need to find a balance. Then we see Angela and Vanessa. They talk about the whole her moving again. And yeah, Vanessa says she's happy to see how far her and her siblings have come. You know, they're basically, the oldest kids are all parents, and then you got the 2 youngest kids. We don't really hear much about them like that. I know the other kid was on Grownish, but I don't know about the young, like the little boy, what he doing with his life. But yeah, they talk about taking Tanise out on a girls' night, where we're gonna see. We're gonna get to that next. But they're like, "Come on, girls' night," okay, and that's what they. So it's girls' night. We have Tanise, TT, Angela, Cree, and Vanessa. Vanessa and Cree are late, and we see, you know, Tanise, Angela, and TT talking about, you know, again, her moving to Atlanta, because at this point I'm over it. We get it. She gone to Atlanta, and so then Cree comes and she's like, I didn't know TT was gonna be here. I can't be fake. I can't act like there's like we can kumbaya. Like, y'all should have told me she was gonna be here. So everybody's kind of looking like, girl, what's the big issue? Even Angela looking at Cree like, what are you talking about? Like, we're supposed to have fun. Like, what are you talking about? So then she was like, she needs to have a conversation with Vanessa and TT together. So then Angela's like, I don't want to be a part of this. Like, we're supposed to have fun. I'm not doing this mess. And this is my thing with Angela. Like, you signed up to be on reality TV, and you've been on this show since season 1. We are now in season 6. You know this show is messy. So all of a sudden you acting like, oh, I can't be a part of mess. That is stupid to me, because you've been on this show for 6 seasons. On top of that, it's okay for you to have mess when you were arguing with with Romeo, and then when you're arguing with your sister. But if it doesn't have anything to do with direct correlations with your family, then it's messy. But you've been very messy with your family. Like, Angela didn't make any sense. And then she copped an attitude with production because they followed her talking about, don't follow me, I'm just going to get a drink from the bar. And I'm like, this need to be Angela's last season, because she adds no value to the show. She really doesn't. It was cute. Like, it was cute for what it was in the beginning, because yes, you need somebody that name holds weight. And Angela and Vanessa being Simmons holds weight. But at this point, nobody's really watching the show to see Angela and Vanessa. Like, nobody is. And then, like, you know, Tanise also got up because she was like, I see y'all need to talk. So she excused herself. So then Cree is like, there's 3 things I don't play with: my family, my business, and my money. And I don't F with that. She was like, I feel like you had negative things to say about me and it put my profession or my business in a negative light as it pertains to me and Savannah. Here's what I'm going to say. Cree, why the hell you bringing up Savannah? Why? Why do you feel the need to protect her messy ass? Because at this point, you are in the situation that you're in because of Savannah. Because Savannah was riding the dicks of Egypt and Sam, saying how awful and how like TT was copying their wedding the earlier parts of the season. Then you got Savannah telling you about what's it called? What's his name? What's the boy name? Supposedly Sean cheating on TT. And you decided to tell Vanessa. So Vanessa told TT. And I don't feel like Vanessa bring it back in a like messy or malicious way. She just told TT, and she told you she was gonna tell TT. So I'm like, you can't be mad at Vanessa, because if Vanessa did the right thing as a friend, like, she don't know y'all. She don't know y'all. And then my thing is like, if she didn't want you to be her wedding planner, then so be it. That's your job. If people don't want to hire you, they don't have to hire you. On top of that, we end up finding out in the conversation that you had her number. So if you really had an issue with TT, you could have been a bigger person, as you say, and your profession was being attacked, like your professionalism was being attacked. You could have been professional with that tight ass dress and called her on the phone and just been like, hey, I didn't like the things that you said, but this, and this, and hashed it out. But you waited until it was time to film to say something. So that does make you look fake. That is very fake. That's very fake. So I don't understand what you're talking about, sis. Creed comes out the side of her neck and says that TT is a bully. Like, TT bullies people. She came for Sam in Egypt's pockets when she's living in her mother's house. And I'm like, what? So I guess there was a tussle on Twitter back and forth. And so they showed it. So y'all know I'm going to read it. So this was TT posted on July the 22nd. She says, I'm not a big Twitter person, but and she's at Sam's name. You need to tag me so I can see things when you clearly want to get my attention. I advise you not to speak on things you know nothing about, because you'll catch me in the wrong mood. Yes, my mother owns properties. It's called success. So I guess the house that we saw TT living in and taking care of her baby, it was her mom's property. This is what I don't understand about us, because I'm gonna put myself in it, because I'm black and I'm a part of the black community. Y'all always harp about generational wealth, this and that, but when you see it, you down it and you dog it, because at the end of the day, that is success. Being able to live in your mom's property and pay her rent, or maybe even living there for free so you can take care of your baby, a lot of people do that. A lot of other communities do that. So I don't see that as a dig. The difference between what Sam and Egypt have going on is that Sam be acting like he making all of his money on OnlyFans, showing his ass fight in a thong. And if you are making that money, why haven't you set aside time for you in Egypt to go look for a house and get an apartment? Luckily, they've done that, because like we learn later on when we see Egypt sitting down with her dad and her stepmom that, excuse me, y'all, that they now have a house. But that's what they should be having. They shouldn't be living with her mama. That's a grown man. He don't need to be living with her mama. So then TT's like, why are you coming in so hot? Like, what is all of this about? And so Creed says this on Twitter, and she's like, yeah, she ain't hard enough to call me a bitch, child. And then Maureen, you know, Mama Maureen don't play about her baby, don't play about Tahira, which is that's her baby. She says, entertain, people judge by what you say. And so then Creed responds and she says, let me make this very clear. IDK, or I don't care whether where's TT's man been, or what bed he may or may not have been in. I told her friend to tell her to check her family, period. I actually feel bad for the girls. Like I said before. So then Vanessa interjects and she's like, honestly, she's the one getting bullied because the family's been lying on her to paint her in a different light. So then when Cree isn't getting the response that she thinks she should get, because TT just sat there looking dumbfounded and even said like, sis, you have my number, so if there was ever an issue, you could have called me. And on top of that, I've never spoken negatively about you or Savannah. I only said in that instance, because they show a flashback where she's like, yeah, I don't want that a part of my wedding, so she can't plan my wedding. And she has every right to be like, if you're engaging with the people I don't F with who are part of my family, then no, I don't want you planning my wedding. And it don't look like you do things anyway. She got on my nerves, y'all. Cree gets on my nerves because Cree has this air of like she's better than everybody. But then when people call her out on it, she takes this position of being so condescending, because I'm like, who are you? We didn't even know who you were until you got on this show. Like, we really didn't even know Uncle Luke had you. So what are you talking? Like, your dad wasn't that famous before he hit the show. Okay, like he was famous back in the 90s, but in the 2000s where we're running the show at now, nobody really knew. Like, a lot of people probably didn't even know who your dad was like that. So for her to be this like cavalier and think she's saying something, because I like, one thing I hate is when grown ass adults say someone's a bully or they're getting bullied by somebody, when it's like, it's different if it's cyberbullying and you got like over 1,000 people hitting up your DMs telling you to take your life or saying nasty and malicious things. But in this instance, you had to hear, like, you had TT's phone number, so you could have called her instead of waiting till y'all got on camera to act like you was doing something, like you weren't being fake, when in all actuality, Cree is very fake, because if you had an issue, you would have pressed her when you had her phone number. So it missed me with that. But I'm glad Vanessa spoke up, because then all of a sudden you see Cree popping back a drink because she's so frazzled that she said, like, she's like, Cree's like, I don't want to be a part of your toxic bubble. I just feel like it's sad that you and your family bully each other. This is the same person who was crying like for 12 episodes about her daddy not being in her life. Is that not toxic? So what are you this is the pot calling the kettle black. Like, you were crying for 12 episodes about Uncle Luke not being a father figure or being in your life, and you having to pull teeth just to get a conversation with him. And that's not toxic? Girl, shut up. Shut up. I can't. So the last scene of the episode was Egypt, Tretch, and his wife, and they're all in New York, and they're basically meeting up to have a, like, I guess a brunch or a lunch to talk to Egypt. It's Egypt's like belated birthday, so Tretch gives her a gift. And then we also end up finding out that Egypt and Sam, like I said before, have moved out of Pep's house and they live in like their own place that's like 20 minutes away. So good for them. I can give them credit when credit is due. Like, if y'all are gonna get married and try to live this married life or be like this serious couple, I think they should have their own. So then we also find out that Egypt and Sam are fighting in amateur UFC fights. Y'all, I used to watch The Ultimate Fighter on Spike TV. Never. I like my face. Like, them bones just be cracking, eyes be bulging. No, thank you. She says she's not fighting in the UFC. She's just practicing or doing the training method. Then she brings up wanting to get headshots because she wants to act. And then Tretch is like, the state pen takes good headshots, so what's going on with you? I said, dang, bro. You could have eased in there. And Egypt says some stupid trash about like the darkness trying to take out the light. And here's my thing with Egypt. People who constantly say that they're the light that is like trying to fight off the darkness, normally they're the darkness. Normally they are the darkness. Like, I'm not saying that her and Sam weren't justified to like defend themselves, because we don't really know what actually transpired in that situation. But listening to her recollection compared to Tyran's recollection, and if you push it together, there was blame on everybody's part, basically. So Tretch is just in his feelings. Like, he feels like, I can't be there for you or help you out if you're not going to tell me the truth. And Miss Cicely is telling Egypt, like, yeah, you have to tell us the truth. Like, your daddy, like, you're his daddy, like, you're your dad's daughter. Like, you're the apple of his eye. Like, sis, you got to tell us the truth. So, and she's like, you and Sam called me and told me what happened, but when we spoke to Tyran, it seemed like a different conversation. So and I'm going to talk about both sides of the story. So Egypt said that her and Sam were on the strip. They went to like a rooftop bar. They got really drunk because they had too much to drink, and they decided to get an Uber. All of a sudden, it was like, I guess their friend was like getting into an altercation. They were like, what happened wasn't really supposed to happen. Then it seemed like the guys were surrounding Sam and his friend, or just Sam. Because that's the thing I'm kind of confused about. Because it seemed like there was another person. Because you had Tyran saying that in the beginning of the episode that they were talking trash to his friend, and Sam went to go like help his friend out. So Egypt said Sam was being surrounded. Then she was blacking in and out because she was that drunk that she was phasing in and out. And then I guess that's when she ran up and somebody in the face. And so Tretch leaves because he's upset, because he's like, I got two conflicting stories and it's like two U-turns that don't mix. And I don't like when people lie to me, because if you lie to me, I stop not trying. It takes a long time for me to trust you again. So then, like I said, the wife is talking to her. And then the dad, Tretch, comes back in because he walked away from the table. And then he came back in and he basically was like, you're black in America. That's enough for you to get killed or shot by the police, which is true. And he's like, a lot of stuff is happening and y'all not keeping it 100 and you just need to tell me the truth. Which is true, because I feel like at this point, sis, just tell the truth. The situation already done happened. Sam got arrested. I don't know if Egypt I don't think Egypt got arrested, but it's like your man got arrested. And he probably out on bond. And then when they did the super trailer, it looked like they trying to charge him with assault with a deadly weapon. And that holds some serious, depending on the state you in, some serious time. But yeah, y'all, that is it. That is all. Remember to be bravely authentic. Drop down in the comments below. Are y'all here for Cree? Do you think TT was in the wrong for not calling the girl? Whose side y'all on? And what do y'all think about this Sam thing? Do you think it's a real, like it really happened? Because I really Googled trying to figure out if it was real. But then again, I'm like, he not a celebrity like that. So maybe that's why none of the blogs picked it up. But yeah, y'all let me know what y'all thoughts are. And I'm out.